Welcome back my DIY nomads. I thought today I'd finally do a van tour of my Peugeot Boxer camper van. So let's get into it. So I have a 2015 Peugeot Boxer. I chose this van because after doing lots and lots of research I found that it just provided the most space inside the back, cubic meters wise, compared to any other van. There's like the Boxer, the Relay and the Ducato, they're all in the same, they're basically exactly the same, well they are the same body. I really liked this van. Admittedly, I would say after driving a Sprinter and a Crafter, maybe the engine's a bit nicer in the Sprinter and the Crafter, but I haven't really noticed any issues. I've loved having this van, and I'm 6'2", and I can still fit my hand above my head, which is quite impressive for the height, I think. So let's start with the cabin up front. It is the Peugeot Boxer Professional, so it has all the mod cons like built-in sat-nav, aircon, etc., and the dash looks really, really nice. I did go ahead and add a rear view camera, it's been one of the most useful things I've added to this van. But really, other than that, we've just got the captain seats that I've changed up front. These have been really, really comfy as well. I don't actually have any height adjustment, but I do have backwards and forwards adjustment, which is nice. And also, they do fold flat, which is maybe useful in some situations. I guess unlike most vans, I've actually kept the bulkhead in and cut a small door in. Originally I did remove the bulkhead, but I put it back in and added this door because when you're driving, I love how much quiet it is up front when you're driving. It also means that in the winter, the cabin at the front heats up faster and cools down, I guess, in the summer quicker than it usually would if all the space was open. It does mean that obviously you can't really swivel these chairs around and use them in the space, but because the space in the back here is so big, I haven't really noticed it to be an issue. So as you first walk into the van, there's my small little electrics box here. This has all my main electronics in, including a little control panel with labelled appliances. You can even check the voltage. So we've got the water pump, fridge, cooker and heater and lights. Inside here, the wires are a little bit messy, but this is basically everything that I've needed. I even actually originally I've got I have the C-Tech D250 ASA, and originally I did actually have the alternator plugged in over here, but I never really needed it because I don't have an inverter in here, and I just don't need that much power running into my 220 amp hour battery. I did also get the C-Tech Battery Sense, which is a Bluetooth module that allows you to see the battery state. But yeah, pretty simple setup, easy to use, and worked really well for me so far. Next we've got the kitchen. I've got a little 42 litre Vitafrigo fridge, which I have absolutely loved. It's a compressor fridge. Saps very, very little energy. And it's like a really good size for a van. Up here we've got one drawer, a deep drawer. This actually comes out a lot further because it allows me just to check things in the back and make any maintenance without actually having to remove the drawer. But it's not necessary, but it's just something I prefer. I have two little can pantries. And all these little handles I actually made myself. You can get these little knurled turned knobs on eBay. I had this leather lying around, so I just made those up. And I also have this little bin system, so I have like main waste, recycling and food waste all separated up. Here is my controller for my heater and cooker. So I'm running the Wallace XC Duo. It's a diesel powered cooker slash heater. It is very pricey, I won't deny that. I think it was about 1,400 quid when I bought it, which is a huge sum of money. But it is a very compact, neat system. Basically glass top like that. And when the lid's up, it's in cooking function. When the lid's down, it blows air over the cooking surface, comes out the front, and that's your heating. I've got the fuel line coming straight from my actual tank, or the diesel tank of the van. I just preferred that than actually having a little separate tank that I need to fill up. Over here I've got a reasonably sized sink. I only have cold water, I don't have any actual hot water on demand. I'll show you what I do for hot water in a second. For my windows I have these little leather catches that basically hold the blinds up and they drop down. This is the honeycomb design, so it's much better insulated inside here. I also thought for an added touch I'd just add a little bit of fake grass. I've got some pretty sort of standardised IKEA like add-ons for the kitchen here. They work really well. They were so cheap, but they're like really nice and sturdy and strong. I just thought they were pretty good for using in the van. And then I've got some above kitchen storage as well. Plenty of storage in there. And directly above the kitchen I have a roof vent. If I could go back in time I'd love to change this for an electric like fan one, but at the moment it's just literally a manual open jobby. So as we go towards more of like the mid slash back of the van, I've got myself like a little wet room slash shower room. There isn't actually a plumbed in shower, but it is fully kitted out with lights and extractor. It's actually a really decent sized shower. So this is my shower down here. It's a one I got from Decathlon. Basically I fill that up with sort of warm slash hot water, pump it up, and I use that as my shower. I plug it into this tube, which I've got on a valve here, so I can turn my shower up and down depending on the power. It works really well. That cost me about 30 quid. It's a really solid way to go about it if you're on a budget. So in the middle area here, I have basically a step up into the bed. That also originally is where the front wheel of my electric scooter goes. The scooter isn't in here at the moment, but it provides two functions, which is great. And then we've got two different drawers here. I'll show you both. So this is my longer one. It's on two locks. I've already unlocked it now, but basically this pulls out and it is a super deep drawer. This has also got 200 kilogram runners on it, so I can actually sit on the end of this and it will actually take my weight. You might have also noticed the grey cushion pad in there. So what I do for my dining area, I take that out and jam it in there, put the drawer up, and I've got a full bench seat. And then my mirror on the wall here, if I undo these two latches here and then turn this little knob here, this comes out and it folds down to be a table. So we've got our little dining table area. Works really well actually, and I was surprised at how useful it actually was. Maybe you could look at getting one of those floor table mounts that you could screw a table leg into and then put the tabletop onto, but ultimately this table is really easy to fold away. Just lift it up, do up the three latches, and it's gone. Now the other drawer I have down here is like this scrappy looking one. It's actually made out of like old pallet bits, and this just slides out. It's another pretty big drawer. Now I haven't put this on drawer runners or anything like that because I like to be able to take it fully out, and if I want to I can take everything out and flip it over and I can use it as a bench to sit on outside. Finally, up at the back here we have the bed going widthways. You might be wondering what these two little areas here. Basically I cut into the wall a bit more to gain about 5 centimeters, and now this mattress is 185 centimeters long that way, which is incredibly impressive. And even me being 6'2", I can almost lie completely straight that way, widthways. Then from this angle, basically got another little tiny control panel, and then this little dial, which when you turns on the dimmable LEDs. I can turn that on. I can turn that on and see the voltage in the battery. That also turns on the USB points. Once the USB points are on, I can then also turn on my 3-speed dual fans, and they are fully articulating like this. so both me and my girlfriend can sort of get our own levels of cooling air. Now to the back area and a very empty garage at the moment. Really, I've got this sort of main space here. From here you can see the, well, underside of the bed, but also you can see the 57 litre wheel arch tank. Basically, originally I had a different shape of tank, which I built the shower around that shape of tank when I put the shower in. But I ended up changing it to this wheel arch tank, which unfortunately can't squeeze down there all the way, so I had to raise it up a little bit, which hasn't been a problem at all. It's still in there, really secure. But I have a really basic sort of plumbing system. The water comes out the tank on a shut-off valve, runs up here through my sort of quiet pump, quiet automatic pump. There's a surge dampener there, and then it goes through a little inline filter, and then it comes off two ways. So one way, the bottom pipe there that leads off, that goes behind the shower and to my sink, and then this one comes off and runs to my hot water system. I'll explain all these hose pipes in a second, but basically I've got my little tiny gas bottle here that powers this, and if I need hot water I can just come out here and fill up whatever I need off this pipe. It's not the most glamorous looking setup, but it works really well. Hasn't cost me very much money at all, and I've actually personally really liked having this sort of setup anyway. On-demand hot water showers out the back here anytime I want to. I can wash like bikes, bicycles, gear. Yeah, I think this setup's just worked really well for me in my van. Next, you may be wondering what this mess of hose pipe is. This is basically the way that I fill up my tank. A lot of you will probably have just like a fill up point mounted on the side of your van that fills up the tank, and they're really good. Like, I have no problems with those. But this is my system, so I'll show you. If I want to fill up the tank, I basically take all of these hose pipes off the hook. I then unplug this end, and I hang both of these ends out of the van. These are the two hose pipes that go to the tank. I fill up the water into the male one, and this is like the drain off end. I can plug this into like a hose pipe end water source, hang both these out the back here while it's filling up, and it can fill up the tank, and when the tank gets full it then just comes out the other end and just drains onto the ground. So I can just fill up the tank whenever I want and sort of leave it without worrying about any sort of issues. Then all I need to do is come back in, plug the male end into there, hang up all the hose pipes, which I will do more neatly in a second because I'm just using one hand. And then this, what I've got here, this weird setup here, this actually ironically acts as my breather valve for the tank. I just don't really like drilling tons of holes into the floor and the wall of my van. I just feel like down the line that's just another potential place for water to leak into. So this is sort of the reason why I've gone for this system. It's simple, cheap, easy to use, doesn't look the prettiest, but it works just as well as any other system. And I didn't have to cut a bunch of holes in my van, which is great. Finally, on the left here, I've got the back side of my long drawer, another bit of storage space behind the other drawer below this one. And then I've got this drawer, which is hidden from the inside cabin area, but that's because this one is to be used for stuff like roadside assistance gear, stuff like snow chains or jumper cables and stuff like that. But really, that's the garage in its entirety. Some of you may be asking what I do with my grey water. Well, I've got a large grey water tank mounted underneath the van with my drainage valve here, which I just unclip off the back and then drain out wherever I need to. On the roof I have 200 watts of solar power, and I find that to be absolutely more than enough for all the needs I have inside the van to be completely totally off grid. That's actually one of the things I really like about my van, is that the only two things I actually need to put into my van are diesel for the tank, which powers the van itself and obviously my cooker and heater, plus water. I don't need to worry about gas or LPG or even electricity. I don't need to have a hookup, which is awesome. I can be really off grid with this, and I absolutely love it. Some of you may be asking why I have nothing in my van. Well, basically due to the whole COVID situation, I decided that I would completely clear out the van, clean it up, make it look nice, take everything out, and basically put it into hibernation mode. Well everyone, I hope you enjoy my van. Let me know what you think below. Obviously everyone's van can be different, and this layout really works for me at the moment. I love spending time in it. It feels really cozy, really warm. Little shout out to Bea and Chloe. Basically they wanted me to do a Q&A, which they wanted me to call a Q&A. So I'll be doing a Q&A in an upcoming video. So please drop your questions below. I'll try and answer as many of them as possible in the next video that I bring out. And yeah, I'll catch all you DIY nomads next time.